Somewhere along the way, you were told that fasting is the switch. Skip breakfast, keep your eating window small, and the fat just melts off on its own. And for a lot of women past 35, it does the exact opposite of that. You feel puffy and swollen, wired but exhausted at the same time. Your sleep gets worse, and the belly you were trying so hard to lose only digs in harder. Here is the part nobody bothers to tell you. That is not you failing the diet, and it is not weak willpower. Most of the fasting advice you have heard was never built for a woman's body in the first place. So think for a second about where the whole fasting craze even came from. The early buzz grew out of studies that were done mostly on men, and very often on male mice in a lab. And a man's body runs pretty steady from one day to the next. A woman's body does not work like that. It runs on a monthly rhythm, and it reads a shortage of food in a completely different way. That one difference is basically the whole story, and it is the reason the exact same 16-hour fast lands so differently for you than it does for your husband standing right next to you. Deep inside your brain, there is a small control center called the hypothalamus. One of its main jobs is to keep constant watch on how much energy is actually coming in. So, when you start skipping meals and fasting for long stretches, that little sensor starts reading the situation as famine. And here's the thing you have to understand. It does not know that you are doing this on purpose just to fit back into your genes. All it knows is that food suddenly stopped arriving. So it does exactly what it evolved over thousands of years to do. It quietly starts protecting you. And the way it protects you is by turning down the dial on anything it decides is optional right at that moment. That means your reproductive hormones get quieter. Your thyroid, the little gland that sets the speed of your whole metabolism, slows down. Even your natural drive to get up and move around drops. And in a woman, this alarm is far, far more sensitive than it is in a man, because your body is wired to guard the possibility of pregnancy above almost everything else. It would honestly rather slow you right down than take that risk. Now, let us actually play out what happens week by week, because this part matters. The first stretch usually feels amazing. Your appetite drops off, the number on the scale finally moves, and you feel completely in control for once. But then, very quietly in the background, your cortisol starts creeping up. Cortisol is your main stress hormone, and first thing in the morning, it is already naturally high on its own. So when you train hard or just white-knuckle through your morning on a totally empty stomach, you are stacking even more stress on top of a system that is already running hot. And then your blood sugar starts riding a roller coaster all day long. You get shaky, you get snappy with the people around you, and your head is in a fog by late morning. You grit your teeth until your first real meal, and then by the middle of the afternoon, you crash hard and suddenly want everything in the entire cupboard. That whole pattern is not fat quietly falling off your body. That is your body sitting in a low-grade stress state, bracing and holding on. And a stressed body clings to belly fat for dear life instead of ever letting it go. Now take everything I just described and drop a woman over 40 right into the middle of it. In perimenopause, your estrogen and your progesterone are already sliding downward on their own. Your cortisol already tends to sit a little higher than it used to, and your sleep is already lighter and so much easier to wreck. Long, aggressive fasting walks in and pours fuel on every single one of those fires at once. So what you actually end up with is worse sleep, more belly fat, and less muscle on your frame, which, if you think about it, is the precise opposite of everything you started fasting for in the first place. And that brings me straight to the cost that honestly hurts the most out of all of them: your muscle. Picture this. You fast 16 hours straight overnight, and then you get up and train first thing in the morning while you are still completely empty. Your body still needs real fuel to get through that whole session, and with nothing at all coming in from outside, it simply starts breaking down your own muscle tissue to cover the gap. And remember, after 40, you are already quietly losing muscle year after year anyway. So when you do this, you end up paying for it twice over. And here is exactly why the scale ends up tricking you so badly. In those first couple of weeks, you genuinely do drop some weight. But some of that is just water, some of it is simply less food sitting in your stomach, and a real chunk of it is your muscle. You look down and see a smaller number, and you feel like it is finally working. Then it stalls out completely. Then it slowly starts creeping back up. What actually happened underneath is that your metabolism quietly stepped down a level because you lost the very muscle that was busy burning your calories all day long. So, let me be completely fair with you here, because this is genuinely not all black and white. A gentle version of this really does help. Simply not eating for the 3 or 4 hours right before bed and keeping your food inside a normal daytime window is good for almost every woman. The real problem only shows up at the extreme end of it. 16 and 18-hour fasts, deliberately skipping breakfast every single morning, and then going and training on a fully empty stomach. That is the specific part that turns hard against women over 35. So here is what I would actually do instead, and honestly, it is not complicated at all. First, keep all of your eating inside a roughly 12-hour window each day. Eat your breakfast, eat a normal dinner in the evening, and just stop the late-night grazing in the kitchen. That one change alone hands you most of the real benefit that people are chasing with all that hardcore fasting, and it does it without ever kicking your stress hormones into gear. Second, get some real protein into your breakfast, somewhere around 30 grams of it. And this matters even more on the mornings when you know you are going to train. Protein early steadies your blood sugar for hours afterward. It quiets your cravings before they even get a chance to start, and it hands your muscles the exact signal they need to hold on. Coffee is not breakfast. Coffee on a completely empty stomach is really just cortisol that happens to smell a little nicer. Third, please stop training fasted. I know the fasted cardio idea is absolutely everywhere right now, but for a woman, it almost always costs you far more than it ever gives back. Just eat something small before you move. A little bit of protein, a little bit of carbs. You will train noticeably harder, you will actually hold on to your muscle, and you will not spend the entire rest of your day chasing your own blood sugar around the house. Fourth, treat your sleep and your muscle as the real project here, not the clock on your fasting app. Lift some weights a few times a week, protect your sleep like it is an actual part of the plan, and eat enough real food to back all of it up. That is the thing that genuinely flattens the belly over time, because muscle plus steady hormones is exactly what keeps your metabolism awake and working for you. So here is the short version of all of it. Intermittent fasting is not evil, and for plenty of men, it genuinely works great. But your body reads a long, hard fast as a warning signal, not as a workout. Push it too far, and especially past 40, and what you get is more cortisol, worse sleep, and lost muscle, which is the exact recipe for the exact belly you have been fighting this whole time. Eat inside a sane window, get your protein in the morning, do not train on empty, and build yourself some muscle. Do that, and your body finally stops bracing against you. If this made your last few frustrating months suddenly make sense, go ahead and subscribe, because the next one is all about how to actually train around your cycle instead of fighting against it. I will see you over there.